everybody, it's Dr. Lisa Ann Homick from Homick Advanced Chiropractic, and this is Brain Snob, episode 61. So with the death of Kobe Bryant last week, it greatly affected my son. He's 16 years old, loves sports, loves basketball, and Kobe Bryant was a mainstay in who he and his friends were idolizing and keeping track of. But his death became just sudden news and very tragic. And I don't think my son has dealt with any other deaths in his life yet. When I think back, I can't recall any relatives who have recently died. So he hasn't faced that. And of course, that's part of growing up. Everybody has to experience, going through death and learning how to deal with the grieving process. But for the topic today, I wanted to talk about why do some people turn it around while others cannot? And I'm speaking about the trial he had. He had a rough patch in his life more than a decade ago, and he managed to turn it around and remain successful and continue to do great things and was a great inspiration to everybody. So rather than looking back at that rough patch he did have in his life, we say he overcame it and he's done really well. And that's how everybody's going to remember him. They're going to remember the countless wonderful things he has done for other people. So not to make this a video about Kobe Bryant, but it gives us an opening dialogue about the difference. Some people really do well. They pull it together. They take a bad opportunity, not an opportunity, they take a bad event and they overcome it. Some people do not. And I see that every day. You see that every day. You see both. But to really dissect what's going on, it would be a lifetime endeavor. And I'm going to try to put it in 3 to 4 minutes. How do we do it? Well, this is a video about brain health, and the brain makes the body so you can make your life. If you have unusual circumstances that throw a fork in your path and you need to figure out how to make your life better, you need brain health. And that's what I want to focus on. The physiology of the brain, what you're feeding your brain, how you're taking care of your brain. That's going to impact your decision making. It's going to impact your outlook. It's going to impact how well you look forward to the future. And the interesting thing is the brain can only deal with what it's already been programmed. Your brain learns everything you expose it to. If by chance you want to change something in your life, but you haven't experienced it fully in the past, it's something brand new for your brain. So that's maybe a difficult concept to understand, but the brain will rely on what has been stored in the memory in order to help you deal with the present issues. So this is a life-saving technique. That's how people were learning how to get away from danger, get away from that wild animal that wants to chase you down and maul you to death, and other ways to deal with stress that puts your life in danger. A lot of our life is really not in an immediate danger like that, but the brain is so primed, it's going to go it's going to over-exaggerate issues and responses. And if you have a lot of that going on, it's harder to feel your energy. It's harder to feel like you are making a difference in your life. It's a little more difficult to feel like you have what it takes to get the job done. So I want to focus on brain health. Let's talk about a few things very quickly here. Brain drain slows you down, and it helps you, or it gets in the way of your ability to solve problems. So some of the things that are very draining to the brain, let's talk about toxins. And the easiest thing to change are what I call food imposters. There are definite things in our diet that are considered acceptable and normal. We have a lot of foods, we've got a lot of food companies, we've got a lot of ways to obtain food in the grocery stores, fast food restaurants, you name it. But a lot of food are imposters. You cannot eat them. They are going to drain your brain by creating an inflammatory response and can build up just toxic issues in your body. If you want to know more about that, then you get your BFA template that you can get at the office, and we can go deeply into dietary issues and how to keep our body healthy. And there's also environmental toxins. We're exposed to them every day. Heavy metals, one example. What's in our water? What's in our air? What's in our clothing? I know there's some different fire retardants and whatnot on our clothing, our furniture. There's a lot of things we need to be aware of to help clear this out of our brain and our body. So those are some toxic examples. What about mechanical? Mechanical stress, that's an easy thing for us to understand when it comes to chiropractic, but any kind of insult to your body, traumatic insult, an injury, that affects your nervous system. And over time, if you have scar tissue developing, that's going to get in the way of nervous system signaling. It's also going to impede your ability to move appropriately. If your movement is impacted, that's less energy to the brain. You're less likely to exercise. Your circulation can be impacted as well. So the mechanical insults have to be addressed, cleared out. We use chiropractic care in order to do that. And the example is a concussion. You can get a concussion, and we understand that really impacts how you think. A concussion takes a while to heal from. So during that healing period, if you're not getting the right nutrients, not getting the right rest, that is going to change how your brain is going to react to stimuli in your environment. And your brain has to work harder. That's exhausting. So old injuries can still impact you today. We address that in chiropractic, and we want to address that because your brain learns from it. And if your brain has learned things that are not really serving us, we can reverse that with brain training. And some of this is very simple. Breathing exercises, meditation, very simple movements of the body. These are the hands-on approaches that you can add to your chiropractic care, and the healing can be quite exciting. Microtrauma, I did mention concussions. We don't get concussions every day, but microtrauma happens to us every day. Our posture, how are we sitting driving the car? How are we sitting at the computer? When we have to stand all day long at our jobs, or we're walking a lot. So microtrauma means you're doing the same thing over and over and over without enough breaks, meaning resting or changing your activity level. Our activity level should be diversified, because that's how we can get out of those locked up positions that create inflammation, joint inflammation people are familiar with. So the way we move throughout the day also can make an impact on the brain. The spinal cord is like spinal bones is like a windmill. It energizes the brain. So if you're lacking movement in your spinal column, you're draining energy from your brain. And we also know that if you're getting in the stress response, all your blood flow is going to your extremities. So you don't get the blood flow at your prefrontal cortex. It's harder to make decisions when you don't have enough oxygen at that prefrontal cortex. That's the thinking part of your brain. That's the decision making. That's the part of your brain that can discern and make choices, weighing the pros and cons. So we need to have that balance in order to think better. And that is the last of my list. No. Let's talk about your outlook. Your emotional part of your brain is going to establish how you look ahead at the future, how you look at your own self-opinion, and if it's not serving you, once again, that can be changed, and we can do that with different stress management techniques. So if the brain doesn't have in the back of the memory, if the brain doesn't know the program or the pattern for a different way of living, it's not going to know what to do. That's a challenge, but it's not impossible, because we learn things every day. You learned how to ride a bike, you learned how to swim, you learned how to do something very intricate at your job. we can teach our brain emotional ways of functioning better, but it takes a little bit of commitment, but it can be done. And we can put new patterns in the brain. We do it with chiropractic because that's going to help your brain shift gears immediately by stimulating the prefrontal cortex. And look at my blog to understand the studies that have shown that. Every chiropractic adjustment stimulates the prefrontal cortex, which controls everything in your body. And understand that emotions can be changed with chiropractic care. So I focus heavily on chiropractic care to do that. I also focus on getting the toxins out of your body. You've got to feed your body nutrients and help with any nutrient deficiency that affects brain health. And just the way you talk to yourself. That sounds like the 3 doorways. Move your brain, feed your brain, talk to your brain. And that's part of Brain First Always, BFA. If you want to change something in your life, and it sounds challenging, let's start with the health of the brain. Let's start with your physical being, because your brain is physical. Not only is it a complicated thinking machine, but it comes from your physical health. Let's start there first. So I would invite you to look at the other videos and check out the blog, but make that call and just become a member of the office so you can get under chiropractic care, and we can look at the BFA protocol so you have the tools to really take care of your brain. So I want you to be a positive ripple effect in your community. So thanks for watching, and look for you soon in the next video.